Good morning. Welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together to peace out, right? Started in the middle of a pandemic. What a great place to start learning how to just peace out and trust God, right? So, I mean, most of us were doing it a little bit before anyway, but we needed a little help. I needed the help. I needed some calm in the middle of that storm, right? And so that's why we birthed this thing, and here we are 3.5 years later or so, still going. And I hope you're still with me. Most of the people who started with me are, and I've got a few new followers, and it's pretty cool. I'm also do a reel out of the video after I finish it, and those are getting like 100, over 100 hits a day. Some of them are 200. I've got one that even had 1,000. That's just crazy, right? But that was cool. Um, just some cool things going on and just keeping it going, right? Just keeping it real, keeping it going. I hope you're having a great morning. Hope you're having a great afternoon. I have people who watch on the other side of the world and it's evening for them, right? So it's morning for us. When I do it live, it's morning. So good morning. So you'll just have to adapt that to whatever time of day it is when you actually watch the video or catch up with us, right? Anyway, I do hope you're having a good week. This morning I just tell you real quick, because I'm just going to be raw and real with stuff. That's what I want this devotion to be. Is just saying, yeah, you know what? Sometimes life hurts. Sometimes stuff happens. Sometimes things are really difficult, but we can still find that peace in God, right? But I don't want it to, sometimes people can make it sound like Christianity is all about getting saved and then everything's going to be perfect after that, right? There's never going to be any problems and there's, you're not going to have any more struggles and there's not going to be any more trials. That's not true. If the point of salvation was just getting saved, which is the bulk of it, then we would just get saved and then go to heaven. So there's a walking it out, right? We learn how to walk with God in this life, right? He didn't just put us here on the earth and then go, well, I don't know what you're going to do. This is going to be interesting to watch, though. Are they going to destroy themselves? What are they going to do? No, he chose then to walk through time with us. Our Creator created us, and He put us right here in this time. He had a strategic plan. It wasn't just haphazardly rolling dice and seeing what comes up. He has a plan, and that plan is to be with us, to be our God. Right? And so, even in the middle of the struggles, He's still our God. That's the coolest part. That's coming out of the pandemic and some of my studies is that God doesn't abandon us when life gets ugly. And that's so. This morning, Chris was kind of sick, and again, right now he's better. His oxygen dipped, and I'm like, okay, I got to call the doctor, got to call the nurse. I started packing a bag. He's better. The fever's gone. It was a slow grade anyway. Fever's gone. Oxygen's back up, so we're good. But it reminded me of a day where and it was when I lived in Norman, so this was over 5, 6 years ago, probably 8 or 9 years ago, and everything had just piled up, right? It was just one thing on top of another, and if you have any kind of caregiving experience, you know that sometimes it just does that. There's this, there's that, there's something else. This did work, this didn't work. Though we got supplies that didn't come, or aides that didn't show up, or doctors that don't care, or there are just so many different things, and even in other areas of life, maybe your job is that way. Maybe it just feels like it just piles up on you sometimes, right? There can be, you can just get in a place where you just feel like it's all piled up. And I was in that spot, and I remember I was standing in Chris's room, and I just went, I can't take any more. And just plain as day, this thought came. It was smarter than me, and it was faster than me, so I had to assume it was God. But just as soon as I said, I can't take one more thing, it just out of utter frustration, this thought came through my mind that said, or what? And it just stopped me in my tracks, and I was like, or what? Well, I'm still going to trust God. And I remember coming to that place where no matter what happens, I'm going to trust God. If it gets worse, I'm going to trust God. If it gets better, I'm going to trust God. If things get more complicated, I'm going to trust God. I don't have a better option than trusting God. right? And so this morning, as Chris was kind of, I'm kind of in that spot again of, oh my goodness, I've got this going on and that going on, and then the caregiving, and what am I going to do about this, and what am I going to do about that? And I had all these things, and I was in that spot again where I just felt like I was pressed in on every side, like Paul said, so many things on my plate and nothing to take off, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I turned to, I thought, well, I don't have any other tool. I'm not looking for another God. I'm not looking for another outlet. I'm not looking for another refuge. God is my refuge. So I turned to a familiar verse here in Isaiah 43, that tells us that we are his. I'm his. You're his, right? And when we go through the waters, he'll be with us. When we go through the fire, he'll be with us. We're not going to be overcome because he's with us. But nowhere in there does he say, you're not going I'm going to take the flood away. I'm going to take the fire away. No, he just said, I've got you in the middle of the stuff. I've got you. So I thumbed through here and I'd already marked it in my Bible. And in Isaiah like 43, 44, 45, there's several places like it actually starts in 44:6. He says, I am the first and the last. Besides me, there is no God. There's not another God, right? And he says, is there a God besides me? This is verse 8. Indeed, there is no other rock. I don't know one. God says, I don't know of another rock. Do you have a better idea? Do you have a better place to run? Do you have a better comfort, or a better place to seek comfort, to seek wisdom, do you have a better God to carry you through your struggles? I think not, right? And over in the next chapter, there's two or three more places. I am the Lord, there is no other. I am the Lord, there is no other. I am the Lord, I speak righteousness. I am the Lord, I make peace, I create peace. That's our God, right? And so, in the light of that, I immediately went to Psalm 23, and I thought, the Lord is my shepherd, and I'm not looking for another shepherd. I'm not looking for another God to take care of me. I'm not looking for another rock. I'm not looking for another refuge, right? God's good enough. He's got me, even if when life is hard. And so, I was thinking about through reading Psalm 23, which is so one of all time favorites for everybody, and it says, "The Lord is my shepherd. I won't. I don't lack anything. Because I don't lack protection. I don't lack peace. I don't lack wisdom. I don't lack direction but I got to listen, right? I got to follow, but he's my shepherd and I don't need another shepherd. He is my shepherd. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He helps us handle the anxieties that I am highly anxious today, right? But he's going to restore my soul. He's going to lead me beside in those quiet places. I'm not looking for another source of peace. God is my source of peace, right? He leads me in the paths of righteousness. But listen to this. Then he said, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. It doesn't say, oh, I'm so glad God's going to keep me from going through hard stuff. No. When I go through hard stuff, I don't have to be afraid of the hard stuff. He's not necessarily going to take the hard stuff away, but he's going to be with us, strengthening us and helping us navigate it if we'll trust him, right? And then I like that he said, you are with me. The shepherd is with us. He didn't leave us here. He's not up there just playing a game of chance. I don't know what's going to happen either. This is going to be good. Let's see. No, he has a plan for us to trust him and be with him forever when all of this is over, right? Your rod and your staff. But here's where my mind went this morning. In verse 5, it says, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. He did not say, God takes my enemies away. I was like, why would he do that? Why don't you just take my enemies away? Now, we don't have a physical enemy like David did, right? We have fear, doubt, anxiety, all these kind of things that come at us all day that we have to sort through and get our mind back on the things that are good, just, pure, honest, lovely, of good report. All those, we're constantly in our minds having to manage life and keep our mind in God, manage life, manage the events of life, and stay hidden and keep following the shepherd, right? Because he's with us. But he didn't say, I'm going to take all of these enemies away. He said, I'm going to feed you right in the middle, right in their face. I'm going to take care of you, even if you've got fear. I'm going to take care of you, even when you feel like you doubt everything. I have those moments still, and I think I'm pretty mature Christian here, but I still have those moments where I'm like, are you listening? Are you there? Do you care? Hello, we're still here. Did you forget us? I have those moments. But he says, even in the middle of those enemies that are trying to steal your peace, those enemies that are trying to steal, the joy that comes just from being saved, knowing God, in the middle of right there in front of your enemies, I'm going to give you peace. Right there in front of your enemies, in the middle of the mess, I'm going to give you joy. Right in the middle of the mess, I'm going to make sure you understand you're still covered by my righteousness. He doesn't take anything away. So if you're in a place where you're going, I can't take one more thing, do you have a better choice than just trusting him through it? Is there a better choice? Is there another God? You got a better God? A lot of the things in the Old Testament, they made idols and they worshiped them. I never figured that out because they could take a piece of clay or stone and carve it themselves and then go, this is a God. Whoo, we're going to bow down to it. I don't get that. I just don't get it. Right? And so, but do you want to try that? Does that even make sense? Of course it doesn't. And one reason it doesn't make sense is because we've already met the Creator. One reason it really doesn't make sense is we've already have a relationship with God. We're already trusting Him for peace. So no matter what's happening today, we're just going to keep trusting Him, right? There's really not a better option. So if everything's going great, you're still going to trust Him. There's not a better option. If everything's kind of really bad or really difficult right now, we're still going to trust God. There's really not a better option. And if you're just kind of in an in-between spot, it's not too good, it's not too bad, it's not horrible, but it's whatever. There's not a better option. We're just going to trust God for today. That's how I always end my devotions for caregivers is I will trust I'm going to so for me, I'm going to trust him for one more day. Will you join me? So I'll ask you that today. Will you join me in trusting God for just one more day? Will you join me today to just trust God for peace today and let his peace reign? Will you trust me? Will you join me to just trust God to know that he's got our souls protected and that in the middle of whatever enemies we may be facing, he's still got our backs. He's still our refuge. He's still our rock. I'm still going to trust him for one more day, right? That means I can just peace out for one more day. Peace out, you guys. Hope I said something that made sense. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.